See you, Christy and Alonzo here. It is 100 degrees in some parts of Los Angeles today. I hope it is cool and pleasant with you. Is it raining with you? Uh, we are here now, it looks like.
Oh,
I
yay.
see
Hello.
us. Hi, everybody. We have a bunch of folks already here. Jesse's here. First comment. Hello, happy Friday, breakfast all day. Hello, Jesse. Hello,
Hello.
Brent. So happy to have you here. Hope you are all staying cool wherever you are. How hot is it where you are, Alonzo?
It's definitely in the 90s, and I'm right now just working with a ceiling fan and the occasional handheld, so making do as I can.
So sorry. I went and jumped in the ocean yesterday
Ooh,
just
well, how
because it was
nice for you.
hot. I went down to the beach. Hi, Real Dreamer. Hi, Christine. Hello, Denise is here, and John and Sam and Jonathan and Daniel and Angel, Imad, all in the game. Everyone's here. Hello to our good friend Marty in Canada. A lot of news. I'll make sure we get to all of this stuff. We're not going to be here for news next week because we're taking off that final week in August. But a lot to talk about today. We just recorded reviews of Honey Don't and Splitsville and the first episode of Peacemaker. If you're watching that, that just debuted last night on HBO Max. We
We're recapping for
realized
our Patreon.
for our Patreon friends at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay, there's always a link to our Patreon in the description of every single video we put out. We're easy to find. We are beginning Peacemaker. We realized that we did not remember anything about Peacemaker because it had been 3.5 years.
It's been a minute. And what we do remember was no longer valid. It turned out, at least the part about the Justice League. It's now the Justice Gang because James Gunn is making it James Gunn time.
Yeah, he's retrofitting it to his vision of the DC world. So we enjoyed it so far. So keep an eye out for that. Oh, hello, Brent says seeing Splitsville in New York City next Thursday. That's cool. We liked
Cool.
Splitsville a lot.
Excellent.
We'll talk about that. Yes,
R.I.P. Terrence Stamp. Yes, T-Love hater for sure.
We're going to talk about Terence Stamp. We could do it now if you want to, since you mentioned it. I have him on the list of things to discuss here.
Sure, yeah.
A legend.
A legend, came up during the 1960s, during the sort of like British kitchen sink drama era in films like Poor Cow and William Wyler's The Collector. Obviously well known in this, globally as General Zod in the first two Superman movies. I got to interview him once. I did the press junket for The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert in 1994, I guess that was. And I got a one-on-one with him, and I could have just sat at his feet and listened to him tell stories all day about, hanging out with the Beatles and Gene Shrimpton and, just that voice and just that life and his very cool attitude about acting and art and life. He was one of a kind. And I think his performance in The Limey is sort of one of the great, like, late in life, like not going quietly performances.
Yeah, and a great sort of like meta commentary on his own career.
Yeah.
And yet it takes that persona in a different direction at the same time. I think we think of him as such a formidable figure. What was it like to speak with him? Like, was he nice?
He was
pleasant?
really nice. He was very engaging and open to talking about stuff. Like, I had like a nonsense question. I asked him if he'd like, kept any of the wardrobe from Priscilla, where he plays a trans woman. And he was like, I had this one purple coat and I had put it at the top of my suitcase. And of course, in Australia, it was summer and I landed in England and it was freezing cold. And without giving it a thought, I reached into my suitcase and I put on the purple jacket.
Love it. I love it. That's so great. Yeah. Just like his eyes, like his presence were just so like searing.
Yeah.
Christine says Stamp gives such a quiet grace and dignity to Bernadette in Priscilla. Favorite part of the movie. Marty mentions that Stamp got an Oscar nomination for Billy Budd, his very first movie.
Yes. And I would be remiss in not mentioning Pasolini's Teorema, where he, seduces an entire household. And why wouldn't he? He's Terence Stamp. And what was cool also in The Limey was using those clips from Poor Cow as a flashback. So you got to see the character as a younger man, and it was the same actor, that was a really novel a use of that kind of footage that Soderbergh pulled off. Yeah, Uh, we passed this way but once.
Yeah. So cool you got to talk to him. So yeah, he will be, speaking of our Patreon, Terrence Stamp will be the subject of our September off the menu poll. We
Yes.
always like to put a poll out once a month of a bunch of films and a certain topic, or maybe it's a director's work if a director has died or an actor has died. So we will honor Terrence Stamp with our
Oh,
September poll. So if you are a member at the $5 level and up, you get to vote and everybody gets to watch no matter what. So if you are already one, great. If you'd like to be one, again, that
yeah.
link is down below. We had a question I want to get to before I get too far here about, Sam asks, I've been wondering about Peacemaker season 2. If it works as a reset, I wasn't interested in season 1, but season 2 sounds interesting. Can I watch without seeing season 1? We'd forgotten everything about season 1. We recapped every single episode of season 1 and forgot about all of it. There's a very lengthy previously on,
Yes.
but I suspect it works better if you have seen the show.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, ultimately, all you need to know going into this season is he saved the world and no one cares. And for all of the effort that he and his friends and co-workers put into saving the world, no one cares, and they're all kind of in shitty places right now. And that's where we go with season 2.
Yeah, there's the ragtag band comes together despite themselves, and they become a team, and things work, and so we are building from there.
It would help to know that in the first season, his father was a piece of shit racist, and that one of the things that has haunted Peacemaker's entire life is the fact that he accidentally killed his older brother, who was always the father's favorite when they were children. But that's all kind of covered in the previously on,
Yeah.
if you really want to go there.
Indeed. So yes, we're watching that. This weekend, we talked about this a little bit last week. There are sing-along showings of K-pop Demon Hunter. They are Saturday and Sunday. It's like 1,700 screens, and as of yesterday, at least 1,100 of them are totally sold out.
Yeah, like they are basically saying that it is quite likely that K-pop Demon Hunters will unseat Weapons as number 1 at the box office this weekend, which is kind of insane. But again, this is without AMC theaters, because they and Netflix can't play nice. But I would hope that Netflix, maybe between this and the run that they got out of Glass Onion for a week, thinks twice about theatrical. Like, I know ultimately it's not important to their bottom line. They're all about selling subscriptions, but they do produce and exhibit motion pictures, and people might want to see those motion pictures on a big screen sometime. So, obviously this shows that for the right project and for the right kind of following, there is a demand and an interest and a desire to see them in a communal theater way and not just at home on the couch streaming. They would not be doing these kind of numbers with Happy Gilmore 2, but they're doing it for K-pop Demon Hunters. So I hope that they're open to this kind of stuff moving forward.
Yes, as Christine says, couch, 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 couch. Yeah, I went to like a press thing they had at Netflix on Tuesday night. They showed the sing along of K-pop Demon Hunters, and Arden Cho was there, Ken Jeong was there, and EJ, who is the singing voice of Rumi.
Oh,
And she wrote a bunch of the songs. She co-wrote like Golden, a bunch of
cool.
these songs. So she's somebody who has like sort of been in the background in the K-pop machinery for a while and is finally getting her due as this incredible talent. I mean,
Good
that
for her.
note she hits in the Golden chorus is this insanely hard note to hit. So she was like really taken aback and choked up to see with an audience, to see how much this has touched people. It was little kids, it was middle-aged ladies, it was gays, it was everyone in between. And I'm just thinking they could have been doing this all summer long, right?
Yeah, but
they could have brought people into the theater all summer long for this.
Again, though, I need to go back and read that article. There was a headline. It's like, this became a phenomenon because it was on a streamer. And I don't know that people would have taken the chance on it in the numbers that they have had it been a thing that came in and out of theaters, as opposed to finding it at home, loving it, and now wanting to love it together in public. I don't know.
It was great energy. And no, that's a good point. You had to have watched it at home a lot to know the songs so well.
Sure. Yeah.
But maybe you bought repeat tickets for it and watched it over and over. Like, we all went to see Grease a lot in the theater.
Yeah, well, my darling, that was 1977.
Yes, things were different, and we had the albums and the
Well, but
8-track.
that's right. I had the double album, even though most of it was songs that were barely even in the movie.
Yeah, songs that were on in the background at the dance competition. So yeah, if you're gonna go, let me know. I'm curious to hear how you like it. I think
Yeah.
it's gonna be a lot of fun, like a good
Tell us what
late
your
summer
crowds are
thing.
like.
Yeah, I'm so curious to know. But yeah, as everyone's like, summer's ending, school's going back. This is kind of like one last fun thing to do before school goes back. So
Yeah.
that is this weekend. Also, I want to mention, since we're talking about Netflix and what is and is not in a theater, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is a Netflix movie, but it's
Yes.
going to have this 3-week run
Oh,
in
good.
theaters starting October 17th, which is how you want to see Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. You want to see it in a theater.
And I have a sneaking suspicion that that was one of Mr. Del Toro's conditions for doing the movie. I
Good
think,
for him.
yeah, he won them an Oscar for Pinocchio. He's Guillermo frickin' Del Toro. So I'm sure he's like, here's how it's going to be, Netflix. You get to own this movie in perpetuity, but I get my 3 weeks in theaters over Halloween. And then, we'll talk from there. And I would imagine we'll also get, probably a Criterion release or some kind of physical media down the road. But yeah, I think that these two things can coincide. I mean, Roma was a Netflix movie, and I think that's a film that really benefited from people being able to see it, in the theater. I got to see it in '70 at the American Cinematheque. It was awesome.
And The Irishman had a theatrical run too, right?
It did, yeah. I mean, they're not against it necessarily, especially if there's if awards are in play. But it's just a matter of the proportion. Is it going to be like on one screen in New York and one in Los Angeles for a week at 10 a.m. when no one is looking, or are they going to really put it out there and let people take it in? I mean, I seem to recall the Meyerowitz stories got some kind of theatrical, but I don't remember.
Yeah, and some folks are saying in the chat, they're talking about the Richard Linklater Nouvelle Vague, his
Yes.
Breathless film. That will be a Netflix film.
Yeah.
But I would guess it's going to get at least some kind of theatrical run,
Yeah.
right?
We've got two Linklaters coming this fall. We've got Nouvelle Vague, and then we've got Blue Moon, which is his movie about Lorenz Hart with Ethan Hawke, which I'm very excited about both of them.
Yes. A good year for Richard Linklater movies. Let's talk about being a film critic. And let's talk about our friends who keep losing their jobs.
Yes.
So the brilliant, so smart, so knowledgeable, so talented Michael Phillips took the buyout this week from the Chicago Tribune, because Chicago Tribune eliminated entirely the job of film critic.
Yeah.
And so now, between the Tribune and the Chicago Sun-Times, where Richard Roper has left after being there for many years, there is no full-time film critic position in Chicago.
Yeah, the two newspapers that gave us Siskel and Ebert cannot be bothered with having a film critic anymore. As Sam Adams pointed out, the third largest market in America does not have a single full-time critic. Yeah. And that is indicative of the entire industry, which is we're on our own. This used to be a thing where people worked for newspapers or magazines or television stations. And there's some of that still out there. God bless, Justin Chang and Richard Brody are still the New Yorker, and Manola Dargis and Alyssa Wilkinson are the New York Times, and, Amy Nicholson and everybody who's at the LA Times. But just even in our over the life of our careers, this has been a thing that has dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. And if you wonder why we keep mentioning our Patreon, it's because that's how you have to do it now. You have a Substack, or you have a Beehive or a Ghost or whatever, or you have a YouTube channel, or you have a Patreon, and that is where you find the people who still care about film reviews and who understand why film criticism actually matters and isn't just this thing that you can replace with, I don't know, the AI or the popcorn meter or whatever.
Yeah. Daniel Warren Guitar brings up a really good point, which is sort of underlying all of this. He says, part of a larger social trend, the society does not like experts.
Yeah.
Like what? Like there's an elitism to us? Is that it? Like we think we are fancy and smug and know better? Is that like the general thinking?
There's a suspicion of expertise, so it's like, yes, I know you've devoted your entire life to studying this science or art or whatever it is, but we've decided now that you're too ivory tower, and that it has been a rather malicious thing that the structures of power have been doing to journalism for years. I mean, we talk about the death of film review positions, Richard Lawson leaving Vanity Fair, but we also have to talk about the death of publications. I mean, between the internet's assault on print publication, print media in general, and oligarchs wanting to take over news organizations to defang them, these are bleak times for this profession. Sorry to bring the room down.
Yeah. No,
But
I brought the room down. I mentioned this first.
but look, y'all are watching us because you ostensibly care about what we have to say and think that we bring something to the table through our years of knowledge and expertise and studying and whatever else that we've done to be where we are. Are we the last word on anything? No. Does our opinion supersede yours? No. But our opinion is informed by decades of, work and study and thought and all of that stuff that if people are talking about whether it's the weather or foreign policy or cinema, you kind of wanted to hear from those people, but lately those people are finding it harder to keep a gig.
People are doing their own research.
Exactly.
But I've always felt like my job was not the be all end all voice on the matter. I've always
No, of
felt like
course.
I was beginning the conversation and that felt like a privilege. And what happens here on Fridays with all of you guys feels like a privilege that you want to come and hang out with us and share your thoughts and whatever you write in the comments. We love that. When we do our table for one reviews, people want to bring movies to us to review with us. We learn so much from you guys. And so
Yeah.
I've always felt like it is a give and take and not like we are imposing a cultural ideology on people by any means, but it's a bummer that like our institutions are frightened and don't feel that way and can't back people like us up. When you are happy to get rid of Michael Phillips, it is a dark fucking time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you sent me Ty Burr's piece about this where he basically said that, like, when Hollywood was trying things in the 1970s and putting out unconventional films, they loved having critics to sort of cheerlead for them and say, hey, here's this weird thing that no one quite knows how to market or describe, but you should see it. Pauline Kael talking about Nashville or Last Tango in Paris was like a way to sell tickets and get people interested in a movie that maybe his studio didn't quite know what to do with because it wasn't something that they were used to. But now, because studio product is for the most part product, they would much rather like have some influencers come see it and take selfies on the red carpet and not really get into the nuts and bolts of what is this thing and what does it mean and how does it fit into the history of this thing. And so here we are doing our thing for the people who still want that.
Marty points out the Toronto Star wiped out its in-house entertainment section, laid off film critic Peter Howell, who now works freelance for the paper and relies on Canadian Press and AP Wire service writing. Yeah, and that is awful. And when I was at the AP, I left the AP in 2013 because they were starting to chip away at my job as a film critic. They only wanted me to write at the most 2 reviews a week. They wanted to supplement what I was writing with like Hollywood Reporter reviews. We had some like content sharing agreement with a Hollywood Reporter, which if you've ever read any trade reviews, they are written totally differently for a totally different audience and in a different context as far as like expectations of how it will perform. And so it's more specific for the industry. And so I kind of saw that was happening way back then. And now, yeah, they are, I guess, using whoever is there still writing reviews. Lindsay Barr and Jake Coyle are film writers who write reviews also. Anyway, it's and then there's also, of course, AI slop.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And we see a lot more influencers and people like that at screenings, or they get earlier access than we do sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think there is a general understanding of they are less interested in, building a career based on communicating their honest opinions about things and sort of letting people get to know over time, like, well, I agree with them on this, I disagree with them on that. I think for influencers it's more like wanting to get into the next thing. So as soon as that social embargo drops, I'm going to talk about how awesome it was, and they can be relied upon to crank out that kind of copy and that kind of, like quick bite TikTok or Twitter or X or Blue Sky stuff, and I think Christy would agree. Like, even if you know that you disagree with us about stuff, if you're still reading and listening to us because you just want to go do the exact opposite of what we say, we'll take it.
Yeah.
That's still, you're still reading it. You're still listening to this, you're still interacting with what we do, even if, our aesthetics and our take on stuff is thoroughly diametrical. I have people like that where I'm like, all right, well, this critic hates it, I got to go now.
Also, when I look at the tomato meter and like maybe there's only a few dissenting voices, like that's who I will read first. Because I want to know, what did they see that I didn't see? What is their perspective on it that I might not share, that might challenge me or like spark a thought in me, so that I never want to read people I totally agree with all the time.
Sure, no.
Because that's boring. Brian's got a funny point. Sometimes film reviews of the MCU is like professional food critics reviewing local McDonald's restaurants. It's because we care.
And the thing is, I think within the MCU, I mean, that runs the gamut from like, like something like Black Panther to something like Thor: The Dark World, which I liked more than a lot of people. But okay, it runs the gamut from Black Panther to the Incredible Hulk. How about that?
Okay. Gage, our friend Gage says, "What the Flick helped 15-year-old me learn how to articulate why I love movies I love and vice versa." Well, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you for telling us that. That makes me feel really good. And Christine says, "What the Flick got me to watch The Book of Henry for the sheer absurdity of it." Yes.
You're welcome.
We agree. And Bob is very nice. Bob says, "I like you too because I usually agree with one or the other. The most prominent newspaper critic here is usually exactly opposite of what I end up feeling." Yeah, so I think it's cool to have those conversations. So anyway, we're going to just keep reporting to you when our friends lose their jobs. We're going to keep reporting to you about the demise of film criticism. And, thankfully, Michael is very established.
Yes.
And, like Ty Burr, can probably go set up a Substack. And I know he already appears on radio doing other stuff. So he will be okay.
I met Michael in 1989 at my very first newspaper job at the Dallas Times-Herald. He was the theater critic.
Yeah, he's so knowledgeable about that too, and about like classical music. I met Michael, I think 2010, because when they were trying to put together some other kind of Ebert and Roper incarnation,
right,
he was in the mix to do a show with me and Richard, and he and Tony Scott did one of the last incarnations of Siskel and Ebert. So
were they before or after the Bends? I get my
they
timeline.
Were after the Bends and before me and
you.
Ignotti.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're the ones who killed it.
Hey, I never even got on. No one ever invited me to even fill in. So,
Chicago's very glamorous. But again, like that kind of show could exist today. You and I doing this on YouTube is not a television show that is syndicated to the world.
No, it's not. And I think, they're not part of the conversation. I mean, I think even before Siskel and Ebert, there was a period where like, a new, not even just indie or art house film, but like mainstream movies, people are like, what does Pauline Kael say? What does, Vincent Canby? What does, why am I blanking on the auteur
Andrew
theory
Sarris.
guy? Andrew Sarris. Thank you. What does Andrew Sarris have to say about, but, I think that even if this is sort of being pushed into a niche position, there are people who love movies enough and love the discourse around movies enough, I hope, to support those of us who are still valiantly out here trying to get her done.
Yes, we are thankful to all of you for all of your support here and for being with us for so long. I do feel really proud that our folks have been with us for a really long time.
Yes.
So thank you for that. Michael asked, whatever happened to Ben Mankiewicz? Ben Mankiewicz is the main guy on Turner Classic Movies.
Yes.
And does a lot of stuff for CBS Sunday Morning. So
that is a full-time job for him.
Ben's very busy. Ben is a real job.
Yes.
So thanks to all of you.
Oh, and Matt
now.
is making amazing cookies.
Let's talk about Matt's cookies. He has a company called Who Wants a Cookie. He sent us cookies. I believe his website is
whowantsacookiela.com. Yeah.
.com. He sent us cookies, and they're not just chocolate chip. There's like a wide variety of very cool flavors, birthday cake and red velvet.
There was one with like dried cranberries and like nuts and chocolate. They were all terrific. I was really impressed. And even like it was the kind of thing where there were flavors. I'm like, I don't know. And then they won me over. Like I'm not a big fan of birthday cake as a flavor in general, but this cookie was like crispy and fun. Anyway, so if you're a cookie fan and you're in the southern, I don't know, is it just to Southern California? Does he ship them anywhere? I don't know how that goes.
I don't know where he ships them. I just put a link. I wrote in the comments, Who Wants a Cookie, LA.com is Matt's website. So go and find him. Okay, we're done complaining. Let's talk about good things now.
Yes.
Jeffrey Wright and Octavia Spencer are going to co-star in a film version of Death of a Salesman.
Yes, co-written by Tony Kushner.
Interesting.
He is co-writing it with the woman who directed Till, who is also directing. And I'm going to look her up because I can't remember her name. But yeah, that sounds like a powerhouse lineup all the way around.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool news along those lines as far as like really interesting casting choices of things to look forward to.
Shinonye Chukwu.
Yes, she did. What is the movie?
She did Till and she did Clemency.
Clemency is what I was thinking about, where she like runs the prison, but she's an alcoholic.
That's the one.
That was really good. Also, we have some Broadway news. If you're heading to New York, Carrie Coon's going to star in a Broadway version of Bug, written by her husband, Tracy Letts.
Is this the first time?
Really cool.
Is this the first time it's been staged on Broadway? I know it's a stage piece, but I don't know if it was like an off-Broadway show before. Do we know?
I think it's the first time on Broadway. It's a Steppenwolf theater thing, that's okay. Right? Like Killer Joe was too.
So that would mean it would be eligible for like the best play Tony then.
Is that what the criteria is? It's not been on Broadway before?
Yeah, because there's new plays and there's revivals. So if it's never been done, it's like when they finally did Hedwig on Broadway with Neil Patrick Harris, it was considered a new musical because it had always been staged off Broadway in New York City before. So interesting.
Yeah,
so no, go ahead.
I was gonna say she's got such a great theater background and she can really do it all. So I'm curious to see what she does with her husband's writing.
Yeah, I was thinking about Bug recently because I was doing a thing about William Friedkin and his theatrical adaptations. And you saw Bug, right? With
Michael Shannon
and Naomi Judd, Ashley Judd. Yes. Yes, super intense. So I wish I could see that. It'd be great.
Tracy Letts was on Roger Deakins' podcast last week. I was listening to it in the car, and totally unsurprisingly, he is hilarious and articulate and has a way with words. He's a great storyteller. He's very, very funny. So Roger Deakins and his wife, James, have a great podcast called The Team Deakins Podcast. And last week was Tracy Letts.
Cool. I'll have to look for that.
And next week is Barry Jenkins.
Oh, well, okay. Stop selling.
Good stuff. So that's happening. So yeah, Carrie Coon and Bug, and then Don Cheadle and Ayo Edebiri are going to co-star in Proof.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's the math one, right?
Yes. That was a film. Yeah. That was
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Anthony Hopkins and Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes. And like,
it's a math thing.
It's the guy's name that he was on that show where he played the gigolo on Showtime, and he's Aaron Eckhart, I think was in it too. Yes.
Two-Face. Harvey
My
Two-Face.
brain.
It's hard. It's hot. Yeah. Overfather says Tracy Letts is the king of physical media. He has 10,000 Blu-rays.
Respect.
Interesting. Where do you put all of those?
In the Criterion Closet.
I guess he has his own Criterion Closet. So good stuff coming up. Those are all going to be next year, of course. Have you seen, I know you have not, Alonzo, have you guys seen the trailer for Good Boy?
I have been getting emails about this movie. It sounds fascinating.
So it's a horror movie from the perspective of the dog.
Yes.
This guy moves into a house with his dog, and the dog, because they know everything, the dog like perceives a presence in the house. From the trailer, it looks kind of like Steven Soderbergh's Presence
Mm,
from earlier this year,
yeah.
but like with the dog's presence or the dog seeing this presence, whatever it is. It's a ghost story. Um, I cannot imagine that they would do anything bad to the dog, but just seeing the dog in distress in this trailer made me very anxious.
Mm. Dave took me to a Swiss movie where they do something really bad to a cat, mostly off screen, but they still do it. I was like,
Oh,
whoa.
yeah. Brett says my wife won't see Good Boy. I said I'd watch it first and let her know how it goes. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the dog is the hero and saved the day and turns out fine, but for all the other stuff before then, the dog being in trouble stresses me out.
He's a good boy.
Yeah, so that comes out soon-ish next month. I lost my notes.
Ooh,
Oh, October 3rd.
jumping back to Broadway, Seth says June Squibb and Cynthia Nixon are doing Marjorie Prime. I loved that movie.
Oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
So interesting.
I
June
could see
Squibb.
June Squibb tearing it up in that. And she's about to be in
Eleanor the Great.
Eleanor the Great, which is Scarlett Johansson's directorial debut.
Yes, that is next month.
Yeah. We're getting Scarlett Johansson's directorial debut and Harris Dickinson's directorial debut and I think one other one in the next few months. I'm forgetting now. Like they were all like at Cannes this year.
Yeah. Oh, right. So we're about to be in the thick of festival season. Venice and Telluride begin next week.
Yep. Toronto after that.
Yeah. So we will have all of those big fancy potential award contenders coming out soon.
Oh, and don't forget the timing of the standing ovations.
Very important. So who times those? Is there like an official timer?
I want it to be like the Olympics. Like there should be like a big Bulova sign in front or something. I don't know how that goes.
Overfather asks, are you guys going to Telluride or another fall festival? Sadly, no.
Nope, not doing Venice this year, unfortunately, and that's my usual only one. So right now,
yes, we will be here. Brett says I time them. Thank you for your service. That is tough. Derek asked, did you guys see Honey Don't? Reviews not great. Apparently that's 0 for 2 for this Cohen bro. Yes, before we came here today to come meet up with you guys,
yes.
we did a review of Honey Don't, so that'll be out pretty soon. We don't agree on it. That's all I will tell you.
Yeah.
Socked, thank you for your nice donation.
Thank you.
Socked says Bad Moon is another horror movie with a dog lead.
Okay.
I don't know Bad Moon.
Is this new or old? I don't know
I
either.
don't want bad things to happen to the dog.
No.
Soon we are going to have a Dawson's Creek reunion. They are doing a live read of the pilot of Dawson's Creek, and it reunites everyone. So you get James Vanderbeek, and Michelle Williams, and Katie Holmes, and Joshua Jackson, and then they're even going to bring in people who were on the show for that pilot episode, like Busy Phillips. Are going to have them do other voices.
Nice.
And it is a fundraiser. It's a cancer fundraiser for the kind of cancer that James Vanderbeek has had.
Yes, for F cancer, and I think for Vanderbeek himself was my understanding that for his like treatment and stuff. But I'm not positive on that. But I know that F cancer is one of the beneficiaries, and that it does all tie into his own struggle with that. So yeah, that's a very cool thing.
I think so too. I love Dawson's Creek. Did you watch it?
I was a little old for Dawson's Creek. I kind of came in and out of it. I mean, look, not that I didn't watch every episode of Degrassi: The Next Generation. Let's be real, but it didn't super grab me. I thought it was a little too cutesy with the dialogue, but I would pop in and out occasionally. And you know, they definitely a pioneering primetime gay teenage character. So you know, kudos.
I watched it. I was maybe a teensy bit too old for it too, but I was into it. So I think this would be cool to go and see that. Oh, Mick Lebowski says, have you seen Relay? Any plans to review? I've seen Relay.
I have not yet. I'm going to maybe try and catch up on it, and we'll get to it later.
Yeah, I liked Relay until I didn't. We are going to do for you for next week that we're going to have Lurker.
Yes.
So...
look out for that.
It's a really, really busy week. at the theater and online. MSNBC has changed its name to MS Now. Did anybody workshop this? This is terrible.
It's so bad. It is so bad. And I mean, again, this speaks to the whole thing of, oligarchs killing off their news gathering organizations. Thanks for nothing, NBC. But yeah, what are we doing here?
It looks like it's a demand, like multiple sclerosis. But
Now,
it stands for Microsoft News Opinion and World.
News Opinion. What does that even mean? Yeah, it's bad.
It is bad. Although I am happy that I don't watch MSNBC with the frequency or intensity that I used to, because I would watch like all 3 hours of that every night. In the beginning of all of this. And I'm very glad that I don't do that anymore. I am much happier.
Yeah. That's when I started watching Hallmark movies, because I needed to watch something that wasn't MSNBC.
Brent says, what do we want? Multiple sclerosis. When do we want it? Now. It is very, very bad. What did I not get to? What did I forget before we wrap up here?
I guess you're working off your email, do you? Right. So that's.
I'm looking at the description. I'm looking at what's in our thing.
All there.
Anyway, but this was a great turnout and a good long conversation. If we did not get to your question or your topic for discussion, put it down in the comments below. Later on today, we're going to have reviews for you of Honey Don't and Splitsville. And then over at our Patreon, we will have Peacemaker and the next 2 episodes of Overcompensating, episodes 5 and 6. We are catching up with all of that.
And next week on our Patreon, we are doing our monthly off the menu selection. We ran a list of contemporary Akira Kurosawa movies, i.e. his non-period pieces, and everybody picked Ikiru, so we're going to be reviewing Ikiru. So if you want to see that review, join our Patreon at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. Join our Patreon if you want to, help film criticism subsist, because this is what it's come to, people.
I love our Patreons. We do like a wide variety of stuff. Yeah. You get film reviews without ads. So if you are watching our film reviews here and you're sick of ads, you can watch them ad-free at our Patreon. The podcast is there for your easy enjoyment. We do these throwback reviews, these off the menus, and we do all these great TV recaps. So it's a lot of good stuff there.
And vibrant comment threads.
We have a lot of really good people at our Patreon, all the best people. We have a question that I wanted to get to. Somebody asked about, thoughts on Americana. You know what? They wouldn't send us links to it. I couldn't make the screening because it was the first day of school. I wanted to be here when Nick got home, and I couldn't make it, and they wouldn't send me a link, and that was the end of that. So I have not seen it. I saw some commentary about, is this like backlash to Sydney Sweeney? No, I think that maybe they were afraid of backlash to Sydney Sweeney, and so they didn't make it as accessible as they could have. There's a really good piece on Deadline basically explaining the kind of release that Americana is, where basically it's a decided thing, certainly for Lionsgate and for other people, are like, we will spend this much on like prints and advertising and do a theatrical, but we really know that the money is going to be later in premium VOD and streaming, and even, like FAST, which is, do you know what this is? Free ad supported television. So like Tubi or Pluto, anything you watch where there's commercials in it, you don't have to pay to subscribe. Okay. So Americana, basically they're looking at revenue streams everywhere but in theaters. So the theatrical release, they didn't make an effort to have critics see it. They didn't do a big ad push on it. It wasn't around for very long, but it'll be, it'll bob up later. So that's apparently what the deal was with that one. That is their game plan. Yeah. Our friend Brent, who has a channel, Awake in the Dark, go check out his film reviews. Brent says Lionsgate has been really stingy with links and outreach. Sometimes, that's been the case. And Zechariah says, I saw Highest to Lowest, not my favorite theatrical experience. We'll have a review on September 5th of Highest to Lowest and the Kurosawa film High and Low that it's based on. Yeah. So come on back for that. All righty. Well, listen, thanks everybody for being here. Y'all are great. Have a wonderful weekend. We're not here next week, so have a good Labor Day. Enjoy the rest of your summer. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, but in the meantime, take care of yourselves and each other. Lovely to see you. Bye. Good to see you. Stay cool. Bye.